Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 13th of August 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute an investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, now then, also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, specifically our JFD research page, where you can find different various analysis that we produce on a daily basis, and I believe you can find something useful here. So feel free to check us out, and yep. But now let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX. So the German index yesterday closed slightly in the red. But looking at this chart, you can see that basically this is what I was talking about previously, where I was saying that as long as this downside line continues to hold, we could see this one drifting to the downside. For now, you can see that the curve is kind of working out nicely. We will be very careful here. We will continue targeting the downside. We will continue aiming for the levels like the 11,620 or even the area around the 11,550, and that level was the high of the 29th of March 2019. So of course, again, if this gets a break, then if the 11,550 zone gets a break, then of course this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could see this one traveling further down. Now then, but again, given that we didn't see a strong move to the downside, we kind of saw a small grind lower. We'll be very careful here, because in case this suddenly decides to break this downside line, now this is where it could become a little bit more interesting for the bulls. And of course, what we are going to do here is we're going to target this level right here near the 11,836.35 zone, which is the low of the 2nd of August. Now, if we get a nice break of this downside line, of course, this could increase the chances for the index to travel a little bit higher. But just for that better confirmation, from the short-term perspective, we would wait for a push above the 11,835-36 zone before kind of targeting slightly higher levels. Initially, we will aim for this one right here near the 11,987, or in a way you could round it up towards the 12,000 level, but this level here that I want, the one that I've got on my chart, it is currently coinciding with the 50 EMA here shown as the red line, and also it marks the low of the 18th of June. So that's why keep your eyes on this one initially. If it reaches the 12,000, that's wonderful, still good, but the more important will be this one here for us, and then we'll take it from there, because if it gets a nice push above it, then in a way this could travel all the way here towards the 200 EMA, or even towards this 12,130 zone, approximately around there. So we'll keep a close eye on this area in general. But again, all this kind of in the scenario if we see a break of this downside line initially and a push above the 11,836.35 zone. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. So for now, like I said, we are going to be looking at the downside here. We are going to be aiming for the 11,620, 11,550 zones. So keep your eyes on those. But like I said, be very careful. If you are willing to trade this one, then definitely have your stop loss in place. Jumping into another interesting instrument, which is taking a huge liking right now, and that's gold, and understandable why, because because the riskier assets are kind of are taking a hit, and of course I'm talking about the equity markets, and the investors are fleeing into something more safer, and this is where gold comes in together with some of the safe haven currencies. So but I'll get to those later. For now, you can see that this is what I was talking about yesterday, and basically we saw a nice good push above the 1510 zone, and this is what I said, that if we get a nice push above this, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could aim for our next potential target near the 1540. Now this has moved nicely to the upside. Of course, don't get me wrong, we are quite extended here a little bit on the shorter time frame, but still, in a way, it has good potential here to go further up here. For now, you can see that looking at today's pivot points, you can see that it's already trading above its pivot, but it's currently very close to its R1, which is around the 1524-25 zone, approximately around there. So for now, I mean, we could see this one pushing a little bit higher. Maybe we'll see a hold up around here near the R1. We could see maybe a small correction back down, but as long as it remains above the 1510 zone, we will continue targeting the upside. If, let's say, this suddenly drops back below the 1510 zone, then, well, this is going to be our somewhat of a neutral territory, because for us to start shifting more to the downside, at least in the short run, and at least for a little bit of correction, because overall, as you can see, we're still within this uptrend. Aiming for a larger correction, we will only aim for that, target that only if we see a drop below the 1490 level initially, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do. I mean, then it could in a way have a good chance to travel further down, so keep your eyes on this one. AUDUSD, very quickly on this. So it's a tricky one. Yesterday it sold off and found good support, but found good support near this 0.6743 zone. So for now, of course, what we're gonna do here is we're still gonna kind of be more bearish than bullish, even though we did have a nice good break of this downside resistance line. The only thing is that it was a bit of a tentative one, so we can actually get rid of that, because for us, in order to, let's say, aim for higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push above the 0.6818, and even then we're still going to be somewhat bearish, because overall it is still within a larger downtrend. So that's why, guys, all this move higher could be seen as a larger correction, and be very careful on this one. So but if we're talking from the short-term perspective, yes, if we see a nice good push above the 0.6818, this in a way increases the chances for a push towards the 0.6866, or even this 200 EMA as well. So, but again, we're quite far a little bit from this level right here. We are closer to this key area of support, which if gets broken, then yep, it could open the path back down towards the lows of last week, near the 0.6673. So keep your eyes on this one, be very careful here, and let's see how this is going to play out. So we're just gonna, for now, keep an eye on some of these potential breakout points. So in the downside is the 0.6743, and on the upside is the 0.6818. So keep your eyes on that one. GBPUSD, yesterday it tried to push higher. Of course, the pound was the gainer yesterday, gained the most against all its major counterparts. But as you can see today, we're having that slide back down, and this is what I was talking about. And basically what I was saying, that if we see a nice good push above the 1.2080, there is a possibility to see this one traveling back up here. But as you can see, this is, for now, this is not the case. It seems that the bears are still kind of in control here, and to be honest, overall, of course, as you know, the pound is weak due to Brexit uncertainties, and I mean, it could continue being weak, probably up until the October time. So that's why be very careful here with any kind of any pullback to the upside, because any pullback might be just seen as a temporary correction before another leg of selling. So in a way, what you could do here is now, from the short-term perspective, if you see the rate climbing back above the 1.2080 zone, let's say for example today, in a way, keep an eye on these yesterday's highs, and that, let me just quickly put that on the chart here, and this is what I'm talking about. So keep an eye on this yesterday's highs near the 1.2107. If we get a nice push above this, then well, in a way we could aim for a little bit of slightly higher levels here. The only thing is, like I said previously, be very careful with the upside, because like I said, any pullback here could be seen as a temporary correction. So that's why we'll be very careful with the upside. For now, we can see that the pair is, it seems that it wants to travel further down. The only thing is that in order to be on the safe side, we'll wait for a drop below the 1.2013 zone here, and only then kind of aim for further declines, because like I said, it did rebound from this area. It traveled a little bit higher here yesterday, so that's why we're going to just take this level here as a potential breakout point, the 1.2013 zone. If we see a drop below this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could see this one maybe sliding towards the psychological 120 level initially, or even below that. So keep your eyes on that one. EURGBP, this leads us into this one, and yesterday it sold off, and but again, it still remained above this upside support line. Now I talked about this pair yesterday in my videos, and was saying that in order for us, let's say, to consider further declines, or should I say at least short-term declines, ideally we would like to see not only a break of this upside line, but also a drop below the 0.9250 zone here, this key area of support, which previously acted as a good area of resistance. Yesterday it also acted as a good support. So I mean, we'll keep a close eye on this. If we get a nice drop below this in a way opens the path, could open the path, let's use that word, towards these 0.92 level, or even below that. So keep your eyes on this one. In terms of the upside, we'll take a very careful approach. Of course, as long as it remains trading above this upside line, we are more bullish than bearish. That said, still, just for that better confirmation of the upside, ideally a push above the 0.93, 24, 25 zone could do the trick here for the bulls, and we could see this one traveling toward the 0.94 zone. So very interesting developments here. Keep your eyes on some of these potential breakout points, and let's see how it's going to play out. USDCHF, very quickly on this. So this one's getting a push today. So this morning you can see that it's traveling now back above the pivot. Of course, this increases the chances for a further move higher today, given that the R1, for example, is really not far. It's just around the corner here near the 0.9732-33 zone, and to be honest, if this pair decides to recover a little bit more, we could see maybe this one pushing towards some of these key areas of resistance. Now, one of which we do have here near the 0.9797, but that said, of course, this is slightly too big of a move here for USDCHF maybe for today, unless something really happens. We do have the US CPIs coming out later on today, so keep your eyes on those. If those come out much better than expected, then in a way we could see this one pushing a little bit higher here, maybe even going towards this 97 zone. But to be honest, if they come out as a disappointment, the pair could reverse and continue with the current trend to the downside, which is to the downside, and we could then aim for some of these lower levels, and one of which is the 0.9635 zone. And let me just show you what that level was in the past. The 0.9635 acted as a fantastic, or should I say, one of the areas of support here near the on the 25th of September 2018. So this one could be a nice potential target, but the more important will be or should I say in the near term, would be the 0.9542-43 zone, which is the lowest point of September 2018. So keep your eyes on this one. Again, like I said, for today, we're seeing some recovery. We're seeing a nice good push above the pivot. I mean, let's see if this could help the pair to push further up here, but again, like I said, don't forget that we do have the US CPIs coming out today, so keep your eyes on those. And the last pair for this session, this video, this is just what I want to say, what I want to call a fun chart, and this is basically US dollar against the Argentinian peso. So as you probably, some of you are aware, yesterday the Argentinian stock market kind of collapsed and it fell around 48%. This of course had a negative effect on the Argentinian peso as well, where the kind of the pair reached its all-time high, or should I say depreciated the most against the US dollar, and it reached the level around the 62 mark. So from which you can see it kind of retraced back down, so it's currently balancing near the 52 mark. Of course, probably you don't trade this one too often, but just it's very interesting to see how the emerging markets are doing, and as you probably can have a look at the other emerging market pairs, then you can see maybe a move higher as well. But again, like I said, in this situation, in this particular situation, US dollar against the Argentinian peso, I mean, yesterday it shot up nicely here to the upside, but again, in a way, this kind of raises concerns in general about the whole global economy, about the state of some of the emerging markets, and like I said, and in this particular situation, the Argentina's economy. So be very careful here, guys. I'm not saying to trade this one, but just something that I wanted to quickly run by you. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me later on at my Traders Tea Time, as always, that's 13:15 GMT. For now, I hope you have a beautiful trading day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.